Right. Hi, Paula. It's really nice to be seeing you again and in this beautiful setting. And it's really nice to have a little fireside conversation. And I was kind of amazed when we met up last week to kind of prepare for this conversation when I happened to mention a quotation. I was struggling to think of whose it was, but I was quoting a bit of it. And you pointed at something, you shared the quotation. So I thought, let's start this conversation as two fellow coaches that have a favorite quotation in common. So maybe I'll hand over to you, Paula, just to sort of maybe just share more about that quotation, even to read it out if you have it to hand, actually.
Sure, thank you, Nigel. I will do that. And Nigel, it's lovely to be with you, actually. Thank you for coming along and meeting me today.
Not at all.
And I think it was amazing in some ways and not so much in other ways, because so many coaches love this quote. I'll hold up the book I showed Nigel to anybody who's watching this. So this is my reflective practice book. I hope you can see it at the background. I'm going to turn you around to show you, for Nigel was speaking about a quote that he particularly was fond of. I said, Nigel, can I show you something? So on the back of my reflective practice journal, I have the same quote, which we both thought was amazing. Let me just read it to people who are listening. It's a Marianne Williamson quote. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is not our light, it is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. And I believe that Nigel and I, and maybe quite a lot of people, Nigel, who are listening to this chat, will recognize the reason that coaches love this particular quote. And I believe it is because we're so focused on potential. And so we make so many of our clients who are blocking themselves through false belief systems aren't serving them. And this quote, I think that idea, it's our light. I just think it's our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. It's amazing, Nigel.
Well, thanks. And I totally agree. And I think at the moment, because of the whole COVID pandemic and the world, maybe the struggles economically, the number of people around us who perhaps would benefit from that. So I don't know what your thoughts are on we as coaches and mentors and how the part we might play in this, what we might call it, COVID challenge world. Any thoughts coming to you on that quotation and our roles we might play in terms of being light or helping people sort of find their own?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me at the moment, and I'm sure maybe I would imagine you're experiencing the same thing, Nigel, particularly with the clientele you're dealing with. What I'm meeting a lot now is burnout. People who are nearing burnout, or people who maybe just coming through burnout. Unfortunately, once a person's in burnout, it's somebody else they need, not us. Now, we need to mind our clients, and more in the conversations I have with my clients, it's not just that focus on goals and strategies and where they want to be. It's how are you and how are you coping? And the model I'm going to use, people might have heard me talk about before, maybe you have, Nigel, is the ROSE model. And that's the R part of the ROSE model is searching for our reason and meaning and our purpose. And that's what our clients are doing in this most challenging world. The O part is optimism, because everything would tell us that we need hope, Nigel. We need hope for our todays, and we need hope moving into our tomorrows, because human beings move towards the images they're creating. So we want to work with our clients in a system to create positive images. And the S part is self-identity. And again, Nigel, I think you definitely agree with me. Coaches listen to the messages clients are feeding themselves all the time, because words create worlds. And if the messages are negative, what's happening for our clients? And of course, the last part of the ROSE model is empowerment and taking action. So I think for any of the coaches who are listening to us, it is that search for purpose, hope, language we're using, empowerment around taking actions is such an important gift we bring. And I have that actually in front of this is the front of my journal, Nigel. That ROSE model forms part of my reflective practice. So I think there are some elements that we bring as coaches, some of the gifts we bring.
I totally agree. And actually, it's more than just we bring to our clients. It's also for ourselves to help us evolve and go through changes. And this whole economic turbulence with COVID, I think it's pushing more people to question their purpose. So we can give them some kind of framework, some sort of safe places to be able to process it. Perhaps they'll make wiser choices when perhaps they hadn't realized until this year or last year that they're not happy or they're not able to continue their life as it was.
Totally
So in terms of other trends you're seeing, anything else you're kind of sensing at the moment, particularly for us in our profession? Anything you want to share the last minute or two of this conversation?
Yeah, for sure. I think there are so many good things happening that needs to be acknowledged as well. For example, one of the things I was reflecting on with a client of mine only this morning is he would have been a man who traveled an awful lot. He's based in San Francisco. I'm a lady from Ireland. I actually met him in Dublin initially. And we've actually traveled occasionally to meet each other. Now we sit in our offices comfortably with our cup of tea, and he doesn't have to travel. And that's a big thing. I worked at director level myself, very senior, and I know you did. I know we worked at senior level. I traveled an awful lot. I lived in airports. I'd rush into meetings. Maybe it could be Lisbon or it could be Geneva. Half the time it didn't matter because it was an airplane journey to an office and then rushing back to my young family at the time. Now, the good thing about COVID, I think, has taught us how to utilize technology, which I would never have been as comfortable with as I am now. All my clients, I know it's slightly different from your practice, Nigel, but all my clients are Zoom. So my client this morning is actually back in San Francisco, sitting in his own home. And he was saying to me, it's such a relief, Paula. So I think there are some good things that have come out of this remote working. I know there are challenges, and I know a lot of the stats are showing us that there's loneliness there for quite a few of our clients. So I think it's accepting and it's acknowledging the wonderful things and maybe accepting the fact that there are clients who are lonely, struggling, and being aware of that, listening to them and reaching out to them. And as I say, just asking them, how are they, is a huge question.
No, totally. And I think this is the future. I think we've got it in a nutshell. I think we become comfortable in reading body language online, sensing emotions, sensing feelings online. And I think it's just practice, it's intuition. And I think before we know it, we've almost forgotten how we used to rely upon face-to-face meetings, how we'd say to coaches and clients, when can we meet? Nice to meet you. And perhaps we still will meet, but it won't be as necessary. Totally agreed.
Exactly. Yeah. And Nigel, I think that's a great space to acknowledge that's something. I think if we think about this world and go back to words create worlds, there's a lot of negativity in our conversations in recent times. And I notice with my clients when they come to meet me, it's very often starts with sadness, maybe, oh my God, I'm worried about what's happening. And for us as coaches, there is an imperative that we do assist our clients to find hope within this challenging world. And I'm sure that you're encountering, for example, I have clients working on their laptops on ironing boards. I have a client working in the utility room. The only advantage, she said to me, I said, are there any advantages to that? And she said, well, the children will never come into the utility room, so that's probably a good thing. So we do have smiles on the journey, but within that, for us as coaches, it is to hold our clients, to make sure that we protect our clients in this world that they're navigating and that they're feeling strong and resilient. And in turn, with the leaders I work with, my dialogue is very often around how are they managing their remote teams? How are they caring for them? How are they caring for themselves first? And how are they caring for their teams?
I'm aligning with you and agreeing. And I just add, and how do we look after our own self-care? How do we as coaches and supervisors and mentors kind of find our own sustenance, whether it's being coached and supervised ourselves, whether it's online gatherings, whether it's a bit of learning as well, so we can remain super positive and confident when we're trying to guide so many people through what is kind of like a new world, with multinational clients talking about we'll have hybrid models, we won't all be back in the office. So yeah, here we are.
And I think what comes to mind just listening to there, Nigel, is the word compassion. And there's a huge, I think the space of leadership is compassionate leadership. And I think for us as coaches, I totally agree with you. Coaches are equally on a new journey. Coaches are equally, some of our colleagues, their business is suffering because it's a different business model and they're struggling to create new business models. And we have to be we have to support them. And these forums, EMCC conference, brilliant way, reach out, meet fellow coaches, chat to them, share your experience, get advice, what's working for them, you know. So coming into the EMCC International Conference and attending and going into that platform is really good. So there's lots happening, Nigel.
Well, I think our time is up, and I know we could talk and talk, but I think we've given enough tips, hopefully a little bit of inspiration. And I don't know whether you want to have a final word, if you have any final thought really for whoever stumbles across this, what I think is a really cool fireside chat series. So any final thoughts from you, Paula?
Nigel, I genuinely mean this. I think if somebody listens to this, just sits down and reflects on that word self-compassion. Self-compassion is not selfish.
Yeah.
So I'd be saying, we finish up here, to anybody who's listening, just take care of yourselves. That's really, be aware of yourself and take care of you, because that way you can take care of your loved ones.
Perfect. I'm totally in alignment. Have a good rest of your day, and see you when I see you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Take care, Nigel. Bye-bye.